This game is too easy. This game is way too easy. Hello everyone. Here's the build. This build is a primarily crit focused build. And if you really want to kill bosses without basically even having to look at them, then this is definitely going to be the build you should try out. If you're having issues with certain bosses, this will definitely help you get through any type of boss. If you're trying to do boss rush 19, this is definitely going to be a build that will easily carry you through all this. You do not have to worry about killing your teammates, it's that there is no friendly fire. Alright, now I'm just going to show you some of the fights.
That's ominous.
Look at this, I don't even need to look. I mean, you totally can increase the DPS, but I do not need to look at the boss at all. You would kill the boss way faster if you were actually looking at the boss, but I'm just doing this to show you how ridiculous this is. Did you subscribe? Go on. Do it. It's actually better not to dodge in this fight, simply because it takes more time to recover. It's better to just get hit, and then you recover much faster, then you can keep damaging. So it's actually bad to dodge. You don't need to dodge in this. You basically pretend that every monster is a Enderman from Minecraft. Don't look them in the eyes, you just gotta shoot their feet. Obviously this boss would die much quicker if I was actually shooting the target. Here I'm actually shooting the target because you could have easily gone up close and it wouldn't have mattered. Just because you have so much health regeneration and so much defense. I tried dodging these, but what's the point? I heal back so quickly anyway. As you can see, I'm putting the mod down to reduce my damage taken, but it's not really necessary, and this is on Apocalypse. This is a hard boss not to look at, but you could totally do it. And you'll notice that versus this boss, he's dying extremely quickly because I have no need for a weak spot. Strictly focusing on crit and crit damage to increase your damage. You can also use mod damage if you don't have the rings. As you can see, I'm basically melting every boss, and I have no real issue with taking damage. And you'll notice that when you destroy his weapon enough, there has a few health bars. You're actually, I believe, killing the individuals on his mace. But when his mace dies completely and runs out of health, he actually takes an extra bit of damage. And because I'm doing AoE all the time with all the type of damage that I have, I'm actually killing both the mace and him equally fast. You'll notice he'll miss a big chunk of health as soon as that last thing on his weapon breaks and dies. So you can actually kill him very quickly, skipping the second phase. Obviously for this boss you will need to dodge because there is a specific mechanic that will one-shot you, so obviously still be wary of those. Nobody can survive those. There'll be some bosses that move, but you'll still be doing so much damage that it won't really matter. You might be doing a little bit less damage overall, but generally speaking, you're still going to be going up to at least 2 to 3k DPS easily, and this is with a target that's moving all the time. And this only gets effective with bigger bosses that will have multiple points that you can hit, so you can basically do double the damage. I dodge out of it simply because it's a longer recovery time, so I could begin DPSing him more. For something like the Ravager, I didn't really do anything. I didn't really move much. The Ravager definitely did move a lot, but once again, I wasn't really necessarily aiming for him all the time. I was just trying to shoot the ground. We spent more time actually aiming at the Ravager. I believe that you would probably kill him much quicker than I did. As I was just doing this to illustrate a point that this build is so easy and it's so strong that you don't even need to look at the boss to kill him. Here's some footage of me killing just the Abberrations before the bosses. As you can see, I barely did anything. I just melted him. He didn't even get close before he ended up dying. I didn't even need to look at him. I didn't even see him. As you can see, I deleted him very quickly. Here, before his health bar even spawned, I actually did a good amount of damage to him, and he just... These enemies just have so little health that it doesn't really matter. You can just kill them with one or two mod shots most of the time. Depending on your difficulty, of course. This is Apocalypse. As you can see, he's melted in a couple seconds. Maybe less than 4 or 5 seconds, really. Here you can see me popping a bubble and showing you the damage reduction. You're definitely going to want to use this if you're getting hit more frequently or getting staggered. Generally speaking, as long as you get those arrow storm down, you're not going to really have any issues. And here's just to show off a little bit of the DPS on Dummy. On the high end, if you are doing your rotation perfectly, summoning those arrow storms and constantly using your other mod, you'll be doing around 6k DPS sustainable. It does take a little bit of time to climb up, but it climbs pretty quickly considering. This is obviously the optimal damage, and technically speaking, there might even be more damage because the arrows that rain on the outside of the radius of the arrow storm could be hitting your enemy, so this might even be higher than you might actually end up seeing on any type of dummy. Because if every single arrow is hitting them, because most of the time, even though the radius is very big with each arrow explosion, you're still going to be missing out on a little bit of DPS near the end when an arrow falls outside of this radius. It may not hit the target dummy. But obviously if the boss is very big and has a big hitbox, you'll probably be doing more DPS than as it's shown here. You might even be hitting 7k DPS, simply because every single arrow and every single explosion will be hitting the target. Here I'm showing off a couple items. If you want to increase your survivability, maybe there's a certain boss that you're struggling with, you can use the ring to help regenerate your health whenever you use a mod. You can technically do this without legendary effect that gives you 2 mod charges. Is probably going to be what you want to optimize your DPS, but technically speaking, this can work without this legendary effect. But it'll be a little bit less DPS, but the effect will still really be the same. As long as you are being a little bit careful and watching your health. You can even wear just a little bit lighter of armor. I have flop armor, so I'm extremely ultra heavy. I'm ultra heavy on this setup, so it's probably important to note that if you want to remove a couple pieces so that you are in the yellow dodge class, that would be acceptable to help you avoid some damage if you do not happen to have this legendary perk that doubles your mods. As you can see here, this is without the legendary effect, so I only have one mod. I actually unequipped my entire prism, so I have no prism effects. I'm going to show you that right now, but you will need to change out to this specific ring. You will want to be generating more mod power. It will help with the smoothness of swapping weapon to weapon. It'll actually be a good increase of damage, probably about like 400 or 500 damage. I show you here, but if you have the legendary effect, you probably want to go with the health regeneration ring, just because if you're out of combat and you get hit or something and you leave combat, if you want to get that health back, you simply just use the arrow storm and the other mod, and it'll basically help you generate full health if you are not in combat or if you cannot hit something. Technically speaking, you are losing a lot of damage here, but generally speaking, you're still doing a good amount of damage. It's not going to be as high without the legendary effect, but it is still going to be effective if you don't have it yet. So this is a completely acceptable build, even without this legendary effect. That's important to note. With the legendary perk, it'll help your initial DPS in getting those double arrow storms down. You can only have 2 arrow storms at once. That is important to note. I had looked at it. Technically speaking, if you are shooting 3 arrow storms, one will spawn and one will despawn, and there'll be an actual DPS increase because there's a couple arrows that will rain out of the one that disappears. So technically speaking, you should shoot both of them and make sure that both are active. Subscribe. Leave a like. Go on, comment even. Do it.